Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Got a good bit of rain today. It's supposed to be getting some more. My goodness, it's brought the bugs out. They're just everywhere. One of those, I'm pretty sure, those Asian killer hornet thingies, I've seen a couple of them around here. You know, they're saying that they're here, but yet they're not, but there may be. But my goodness, I just saw one a little bit ago, and it was monstrous. So if it gets close to me, I may duck inside somewhere. Anyways, so as far as news goes, Pentagon has announced that they're sending a bunch of troops now over to the Middle East, potentially to back up Israel, possibly, especially if things kind of escalate and get out of control, which things are escalating. It's my goodness, they're just everywhere. I don't know if you can see or hear them, but I can certainly hear them. There it is again. It's liking me. It's liking me. Anyways, so a lot of stuff happening there. Zelensky is in the United States at one of the weapons manufacturers, and he's signing his name to artillery rounds that's going to be shot at Russia. So that I'm sure that goes over really well with this argument that the United States and NATO are not actually at war with Russia, even though something like that's happening. The bigger news that I wanted to get to is not the exciting World War III, the exciting invasion of the southern border or anything like that, but it's actually the hurricane that is building down in the Gulf Coast. This kind of stuff happens. And so for number one, for those of you that are or might be in the path of this, I would highly suggest that you take this serious. I know those folks of you that are living in Florida, this is just normal for you. But, and it's still early on. I know they just dropped the assigned path just a few moments ago to this. I will have that playing somewhere on the side of the screen so that you can kind of get an idea. Now, of course, it could change paths. This isn't guaranteed because it's still early on. But some of the early predictions and the early numbers coming out on this is that this will most likely be the most powerful storm so far this year. And it could potentially be one of the most powerful storms on record, is what they are saying, if it continues in the direction and the increasing of strength that it's doing. It's looking quite big and large. So even if you're used to this kind of stuff, you should probably be ready. For the rest of you that don't live in that little Florida panhandle where it looks like it's going to make landfall, you should get ready. If you saw on that path, Georgia, the Carolinas, kind of that corner of eastern Tennessee. Speaking of weather, we have thunder now. Kentucky, up into southern Illinois, St. Louis areas. Now, it's not going to be hurricane there, of course. Tropical depression into thunderstorms and stuff like that. But there's a few things that I want to point out with this. And I don't want to get into conspiracy theories on this, but you know, who knows? That may pop up at some point in the future. Whenever these kinds of things happen, I find it too often that preppers kind of push this to the side. You know, we're preparing for the end of the world as we know it, right? We're not preparing for these measly storms. Come on, that's child's play. Except those things are guaranteed. And storms, like this one might end up being, can do massive amounts of damage, cost loss of life. In fact, the thunderstorm that rolled through our area just this morning ended up the next county over. A man died in that storm this morning, unfortunately. He was in an RV, and apparently, as best as I can tell in the news, it kind of collapsed, maybe rolled over, and he didn't make it. Storms can be devastating. And when you look at the things that are happening right now in the world, and you add to that the possibility of things, even if it's just temporarily, and even if it's just in a regionally, could potentially get out of control. So I would recommend for anyone in the path of this, you saw the little graphic, to stock up. You need to make sure, it looks like it's probably going to make landfall sometime Thursday mid-morning into afternoon, but again, it's early on, so that could change. Up into the Carolinas by Friday afternoon, that kind of stuff. But you need to make sure you have plenty of water. Have plans for, any type of containers, empty milk jugs, Tupperware containers, buckets, stuff like that. If you have trash cans that you can clean out as best as you can, and before it hits, fill up with water, not to drink out of, but to use to flush toilets. You can flush toilets with water, or just that kind of stuff. So it's not drinking water, but at least it's water to do certain things with. Medical supplies, make sure you have them. Obviously food. Be prepared to be without power for a few days. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you should probably do so. And the way this thing is looking, and I'm no weather forecaster, meteorologist or anything like that, but I am a trained weather spotter, so I do know a little bit. But anyways, even once it gets inland a ways and it's down to a tropical depression or whatever, it's looking like this thing could dump a substantial amount of rain in some areas. So, you could see flooding, power outages, just kind of slowing down or even stopping of the supply chain, fuel, things like that. You should be prepared for that. Now, I know that the rest of you watching this are saying, what, you're making this whole video for that little small path of people that live there. No, I'm making this video for everyone that watches, because here's the thing. And we do this all the time. I do this. I've done this for years, long before I ever started making videos. Whenever there's something big like this that happens, whether it's a train exploding in Ohio, yeah, you forgot about that one, didn't you? Or hurricanes, or ice storms, or wars, or whatever, I pay attention to them, and I watch how people react. I watch how governments respond as best as you can on the news, and now with media, social media and stuff, you can see it a little bit better. But I watch it because it gives me a better idea each time of how people will react to disasters and emergencies. And of course, I personally work on disasters and emergencies because of my volunteering, so I see that firsthand too. And when you put it all together, you're able to kind of create a decent game plan and a decent idea of what people will do and how to react and how you should react. In fact, if you don't live anywhere near this, maybe you live on the West Coast or the Midwest or something like that, you should still use this as a chance to go through some dry runs to kind of get things ready for yourself. And as it plays out, and even though it's not near you, what would you do if the power goes out? What would you do, say if there's massive flooding in certain areas? What would you do if that happened in your area? Use this as kind of almost like a little game, but it's really training for you to get ready. Because folks, things are happening. Things are absolutely happening all over this country and all over the world they don't look good, okay? And we can sit here and we can make excuses for it. We can sit here and say, well, maybe it's not as bad as what you're saying, all of that kind of stuff. But the facts is that things are, they're escalating. They're getting worse. There's more people from all over the world pouring into this country, doing things that at the very least are outside of our standards and morality, but at the, on the worst end, they're very criminal and sometimes even grotesque. We're watching wars happen all over the world, and the United States wants to be involved in every one of them. While our dollar and our is dropping, and our debt is raising, and our system is just falling apart. I'm getting off track here. The point is for those of you in the path of this, I kind of wonder if maybe a lot of people aren't paying attention to it because they're paying attention to so many other things. This has the potential to be a very, very serious storm. It may not be. It's still early. But I would advise you, in fact, I have family that live in the path of this storm, not on the coast, but still in the path. And I've already been talking to them today. Do not sit around and just think this is nothing. Get ready for it. Get prepared. Our system right now is so fragile in many areas that you don't know that it may overwhelm the little town that you live in if you get hit by this storm, and things get even worse because it has the potential of being bad. And our system, our supply chain, our everything is kind of broken down anyways. For the rest of you, pay attention and see how people react. and see how governments react, and see what are the things that you could have done if you'd been in that situation, what you could have done to make your survival of that situation better. Because it's probably not too far off that the worst things that can happen aren't going to be hurricanes and tornadoes. They could be much worse than that, including violent revolutions and pandemics and hyperinflation and collapsing of currencies and invasion of foreign troops and all kinds of stuff. Because right now, the way things are going, I don't think anything's off the table. I'm not saying it's all going to happen, but I think we're at a place that maybe we've never been before, that just about any bad thing right now is plausible, and we should be prepared for that. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.